Welcome in, everybody, to, man, if they've been waiting a long time for Daytona Motor Mouths, so they probably think Godwin got a lot younger, right?
It's literally been years. Yeah.
Literally years. Well, welcome in, everybody. Thanks for coming into this inaugural voyage. Hang with us. It could get rocky here, right? We've already had some technical difficulties. This is kind of the blind lead the blind here, but wanted to talk a little bit first about the week that was, Ken, and obviously the last time around the 2 mile configuration in Fontana, apparently. I kind of wrote a little bit about it this week. Not real thrilled with it. Would like to see some minds change. What do you think about it?
You're one of the few people. I think Kyle Busch is going to miss it because he does well there, and he obviously just won there. But you're one of the very few people, maybe the only person I know who is against introducing another short track to NASCAR. And the word is they're gonna take this from a 2 mile track to most likely a half-mile track, and and they're gonna miss next year. The 24 race will not be on the schedule, and likely the 25 race won't be on the schedule because, believe it or not, it takes a while to get something done in California. They're gonna have to. There's probably gonna be several studies, and somewhere within 20-mile radius of the Auto Club Speedway there in Fontana, somebody will find a struggling smelt in a pond and decide everything has to come to a crashing halt while we figure out a way to gum up the works and grease a few more palms, so to speak. There's a lot of palms out there.
Yeah.
Fleshy and green.
Well, when it dumps 2 feet of snow, it's hard to do anything too, I mean, now that's
that was a bit of a freak, literally a freak of nature, a snowstorm there in Southern California. But again, they're like an hour inland from the coast, a little over an hour inland, and they have basically, from my couple of visits there, realized there's 4 different weather patterns. You got the coast, you got a little bit inland, you got the mountains, you got the desert. So it's like four distinctly different parts of the country, all in one strip of land right there. It's nuts.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't have been shocked.
You mentioned Kyle Busch and him not being thrilled with saying goodbye. At least he said goodbye in fashion, right? Here's the breaking news: Kyle Busch can still drive a race car, right?
Yeah, it should surprise nobody, I guess.
Yeah, pretty good performance out of him. Obviously, Ross the boss dominated the first 2/3 of the race. Kyle came on late, kind of ran away with it. Hell of a first 3 races in this Richard Childress car, man. He doesn't show any signs of slowing down yet, does he?
Well, your conventional wisdom, you just can't bring conventional wisdom to auto racing. And conventional wisdom will be, okay, Tyler Reddick won a couple of times in that car with that team last year, so we know it's capable. So Kyle should have machinery he can win in. But somehow you bring your stupid old thoughts into this and go, well, probably got to take him a month or 2 to shake down and get ready to win. But that's just not the case. If it's a capable team with a capable car and a most capable driver, it shouldn't surprise anybody that he got a win almost right out of the box.
Yeah, and Trackhouse proving that last year was no fluke too. Daniel Suarez, another 4th place finish there, and Ross, like I said, I think those guys are here to stay as well.
Well, yeah, I was thinking before while you were dabbling with the mechanical glitches here, where you were under our hood, I was thinking that what have we learned through 2 points-paying races, the Daytona 500 and now Fontana? Nothing really. We haven't learned anything bad. I mean, you can't take anybody who's off to a bad start like Kyle Larson. You can't say, oh my God, they're in trouble. Any of the top tier teams who have gone through 2 weeks and don't have a top 10 or maybe even a top 15, you certainly can't be concerned with them yet, because the Daytona 500, you just throw that out in terms of looking for what's going to happen the rest of the way, or who's good, who's not. And then you just have one more race at Fontana. And, you can pick any race out of the schedule throughout the year, and it's just a snapshot. So I think the trends that we can hang our hats on are the good trends. That Trackhouse Racing is, what they showed at a fast 2 mile track Sunday portends good stuff for them again this year. And, obviously what we learned about Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick had a good race. So, we've learned some good things that we can pretty much think we've established, but we can't take any of the bad stuff that's happened yet and say we've established anything. So, so there's that.
Yeah. Well, having said that, Vegas is usually the part where we start to really learn some things. And like I said, there's been 25 races at this track. 21 times it's been won by a driver who either had a title or went on to win a title. So it
Yeah.
tends to separate some men from boys here. Both races last year, Ross was a factor. Second and one, third and one, led the most laps combined. But the driver to me to watch might be Joey Logano, who's won at this track 3 times in the last 8 races. What are you expecting to see here, and what are you leaning toward?
I am sort of looking for. I mentioned Kyle Larson a minute ago. I'm looking for him to have a good week because
Mhm.
that seems like the team got to be on everybody's short list of as far as a guy and a team who's going to make the Final Four at the end of the year. So I'm looking for him to, have a good week, maybe even win. So I guess we go from 2 mile track to a 1.5 mile track, and then the following week is a 1 mile track, Phoenix. Then they come back home, as I like to say. They
Yeah.
come back home and go to Atlanta, which is now, a quote plate race. So yeah, we're going to have everything except for a half miler or a 3/4 miler here in the next month. So it's going to be, we're going to cover all the bases in terms of types of track. We'll see who's got the goods and who doesn't over the next few weeks, I would think.
Yeah, last year in this race, it was won by Alex Bowman, who
Yeah.
has kind of quietly. I know, as you said, it's hard to draw too many takeaways, good or bad, over 2 races. But I mean, a 5th at Daytona, an 8th, and 10 stage points in California this week, coming into a season where he just signed a contract extension. Been kind of impressed with him. He's just kind of quietly moving along, and this is a good track for him here as well.
Yeah. They will tell you though that, last year that was the first year in the next gen car. They'll tell you that the stuff they've learned since 12 months ago, it's nothing. It's like night and day. So they tell you not to put much stock in previous record, even in this car just a year ago.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm not to be Dr. Doom, but I am hopeful, but going to keep an eye on Bowman throughout the first couple of months of the season because, he came back for the last race of the year last year after missing 5 or 6 weeks with that concussion. Then after hearing Kurt Busch talk during speed weeks in Daytona about how he's still dealing with it, you always go, boy, I wonder if Alex is. I'm sure they're saying he's 100%, but something you want to keep an eye on for over a month or two and hope for the best and assume the best. But I'm Dr. Doom sometimes, so I gotta bring the wet blanket in and say, hey, I still got to keep an eye on this. So
knock on wood, and briefly just wanted to mention we're 2 races and then of course the Clash in, and we've had no spontaneous combustions and we've had no tire issues. So
yeah.
not saying it's fixed for good, but that's good to see too, right?
I think was it Byron or Bell? Somebody had a little fire issue at the Clash in LA, but they wrote it off to.
Yeah, that was Ty Gibbs, but it was
They wrote it off to some sort of something other than what the problem was last year.
Yeah.
So that's good news.
Yeah.
We've moved to another area there on the fire front. But anyway.
So just to close this out, and we'll do this every week, man. We got about 30 seconds to a minute to go. Give me your winner, maybe a dark horse. Who you looking at?
I mentioned Kyle Larson. I'm going to go with Kyle Larson. And dark horse, I don't know. I'll think about it while you give me your winner.
See, I got to put all this in the paper. I got to know this by Monday. So, which is, by the way, a lot harder to do on Monday before practices and qualifying, which didn't even happen last week. So it ended up not being a difference. But I'm taking America's favorite watermelon farmer, which is how I'm going to refer to him for the rest of his life. Ross Chastain was close at this track twice last year. He was close last week. He gets it done this week. But look out for Brad Keselowski. Very good record at this track. Historically, showed some good speed at Fontana, quiet top 10. I think he can be a factor as well.
Noah Gragson will be my dark horse until further notice.
Noah, I'm telling you, Noah's a breakthrough win from becoming a series favorite, man. And he's an interesting cat and a talented guy. So with that, we'll leave you guys, and we will check you back in next week. Hopefully, if you don't hate it. If you do hate it, don't tell us. If you like it, let us know. So we will see you next week. Thanks, guys.
All right.